Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here.
And Bluedragonfive. Over 10 years ago, as the Dark Knight changed things forever, we lost the actor who made it happen. Heath Ledger delivered the ultimate performance that left us eternally wanting more. While we all thought we saw the last of his betrayal as the Clown Prince of Crime, two men unearthed, let's just say, amazing footage of what he might have done next.
The job falls to us to comb over the files and documented exploits of Patient 4479 in this ultimate tribute, the role of a lifetime. Let's start today's session with Phantom Pains. All right, Dragon, and before we get to Phantom Pains, I don't know why I'm saying it that way. I'm being silly. Let's check in at the Iceberg Lounge, Dragon. Let's do a quick check-in at the Iceberg Lounge, shall we?
Yes, yes, how'd you feel about this one?
Well, I really like the what we're building up as far as the mystery and everything goes. It seems like the series is definitely stretching its wings. The Joker, if anything else, seems to kind of be in the background this time around, which is interesting. And so yeah, all the reveals worked out pretty well. I actually really like the actor playing Alberto Falcone because I thought they cast him sort of like just right as far as like how I'd imagine that character to be in the Nolan movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I also just really liked the little tease we got of Oswald Cobblepot that we're about to get into as well. I thought it just added a nice little spice of flavor to the whole thing.
Yeah, so I guess a little bit of context on this one. Yeah, so we had set up in the staff verification, the news crawl episode from the first season, that we set up, the ventriloquist shot up the Iceberg Lounge. So the point being that the Iceberg Lounge, kind of a known entity, which of course now, finally, after God knows how many years, we have actually seen the Iceberg Lounge in a Batman movie. So it's kind of funny seeing, how we've been building to it. And again, this like kind of another grounded interpretation of the Iceberg Lounge as kind of trendy nightclub.
Uh-huh.
So a very eerie thing about this episode. So this episode came out February 13th, 2012.
Ooh.
Do you know why that's eerie?
No, why? Beyond the 13.
Okay, though. It's eerie because this is 2 years before Philip Seymour Hoffman passed.
Oh, yeah, that is very eerie indeed.
Yeah, so that's the because remember he was back then when they when we were between Batman movies. There was a lot of.
He was the go-to Penguin, of course. Everyone wanted that.
Yeah, I mean, I forget if they were shooting this in 2011 or not, but the point being there was a lot of speculation as to if we're eventually going to get like kind of a Nolanized Penguin, and the guy to do that would be like, hey, Philip Seymour Hoffman, like the guy to play the Penguin.
Absolutely.
For the speculated third film. So, yeah, and this whole gimmick that we're doing now with the further evidence is we have kind of an audio thing here, and we did that last time with Joker's 911 call, which teed up the mystery of. Remember, we kind of started at the end of the adventure of Joker making the 911 call after he kind of created the fireworks and chaos and the wedding day massacre of it all, wanting a ride home. So this is kind of a similar idea through the GCPD kind of leaked footage and leaked evidence. So like, hey. So the GCPD, they're probably looking in on the mob, and surely that information is going to get out, and this is kind of a wiretap that we're getting kind of a purview on. So it's kind of an interesting way into our story of like, okay, so we're kind of giving like kind of an outsider's kind of like the conversation-esque kind of view on the situation.
Nice.
Which of course leads into our next segment. But anyway, so before we get to Phantom Pains, the GCPD evidence. So let's kind of go through. Not a whole lot here. Just
yeah, I mean it's pretty straightforward. It's basically like the Falcone family asking to rent out the Iceberg Lounge for Alberto Falcone's 21st birthday.
Yes,
guy on the other end of the phone is a little hesitant. He calls Oswald Cobblepot Penguin. Oswald Cobblepot's right there. He does not like that.
No, he doesn't. So Angelo Meridi is, I believe, I'm going to assume because everything else is usually kind of a long Halloween pull, probably a long Halloween and/or Dark Victory pull. But Angelo here is voiced by Scott McClure, the actor who plays the Joker. So he's playing the mobster who's calling in. Um, anyway, so we have the guy on the other end who we see later as like the guy by the door, who says, "Yeah, wait, you here for the shipment? No, no, like the boss's wife who wants his birthday, his 21st birthday here, else she's gonna have me by the gonads." Like the Penguin does just move the Mickey Sullivan, who is from the Long Halloween, the Irish mob, who we did not address in the Dark Knight, by the way, which is really kind of cool. Like, some of the surviving mob remnants now that we have in Gotham. Anyways, to make the Irish mob now bump the Irish mob, put him in like put him in like the main room, like basically put him like outside, like so give us a good room. Anyway, so they put him in the lounge, right? Put him in the lounge. The Penguin doesn't need to know, of course, the moment this is, he doesn't like being called the Penguin. The Penguin has a way of knowing everything that goes on. Enter Philip Seymour Hoffman, Penguin.
I mean, it's obviously not Philip Seymour Hoffman, but it's like I need to listen to it again with that in mind because it did have a distinct tone to it, and that's obviously what they were going for.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's kind of like the benefit of like, okay, so we're never going to really show the Penguin. So what we can do is we can actually do kind of like the solid casting that we have done, which is the signature of the Joker blogs. We have an actor who embodies the Heath Ledger Joker, and we have an actor who embodies Cillian Murphy. So let's do an actor that embodies Philip Seymour Hoffman, which is either McClure doing a really good impression, or it is Paul Vanasek who played Hugo Strange doing the impression. I can't tell you which one because, unfortunately, for reasons we'll get into later, I don't have the. No one really knows the full credits for this season of the Joker blogs. Anyway, so this is like we have him enter. This is like, what did you call me? Is a bird? Is that what it is? Like, like, do I look like a bird to you? Almost like the whole "Do I amuse you" thing from Goodfellas. What a bird does.
And this it kind of is in some ways like the Penguin's more classy, more civilized. No one's going to die, but somebody is going to get hurt. Version of the pencil trick.
Yeah. You know what I like though? Like, to me, the Nolanized version of the Penguin, based on this, like the impression I get for this, which again, so good, it could be like kind of like canonized to an extent. Like, well, again, it's kind of what the first season is with the Joker blogs. This is a Penguin I can get behind for what the Nolan Penguin would have been. I think the idea is he's called a Penguin. The idea is like he's an arms dealer, which is what the shipment's most likely about. Yet he is, I think he's called a Penguin because of his, his physique, but mainly because he always dresses in a tuxedo, which probably gives him the Penguin nickname.
I could see that.
I know it's a very obvious thing to say with like how the Penguin's been characterized for over 80 years, but I'm just saying the practical application of it in a Nolan world. Like, okay, this is how a guy without having a big bird nose would get the name Penguin.
Well, it's also kind of like how Harvey would get the name Two-Face. You know what I mean? It's very much in that same mold.
Exactly. So, and point being very intimidating, he essentially breaks the guy's fingers, saying, like that squawk like an effing bird. So he breaks the guy's fingers, and this is what's great, how intimidating he is to the guy on the other end of the phone, just kind of still listening. He says, "You still there?" Yes, Mr. Cobblepot, yes. He says, "You can have the club. You can have the club this Saturday. It will cost you double, and the shipment's ready." He says, "Yes, and Angelo, don't ever go behind my back again.
Yeah.
Or I'll find you, then I'll kill you." Yeah. Liam Neeson threats over the phone. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, it's appropriate.
Seriously, it does set a good tone. Kind of gets you a little bit more involved. Like you said, it's cool. It's it's just kind of like fleshing out the real building of the Nolanized underbelly of Nolan's Gotham. Just a little bit more, and I like it.
And it's spicy. Again, it's kind of a great way, because remember, the whole thing about, Long Halloween, but also by proxy of the Nolan film, is, again, it's about the freaks kind of entering Gotham, which we had via the Joker, then ultimately Two-Face, and we're kind of spicing up the mob angle here with, like, okay, so we have kind of a next-gen, kind of an upgrade to our standard mobster with the Penguin. Okay, so that brings us to our main attraction, Phantom Pains.
Oh boy.
So, Phantom Pains, here's the context on this one. So, again, we continue to explore the non-Joker stuff and further evidence here, big time with this. Go kind of lean into our cinematic kind of storytelling. This
And
is like
correct me if I'm wrong, but this season we're pretty much going with like each episode is kind of like a different point of view, right?
each further evidence kind of mid-cool season
Uh-huh.
thing will be a different character. And
So
then when we
that's
get to
really interesting because, like I said, we like in this episode we get a character like Alberto Falcone who, is intrinsic to the lore of the Gotham mob, but we have not really seen him in the Nolan verse. But he really does fit like a glove, and they Dragon. It's funny because this is like one of the few times where having college age kids as your main casting pool really works to its benefit with this guy, right?
it does, he's an Oxford boy, oh for sure.
Like I could totally buy this guy as 21-year-old Alberto Falcone. It's so realistic.
Plays very well. I wonder how much that was a strategic choice of, you know what, well, I shouldn't say this because later on we're gonna actually see mobsters, but I wonder if this is like kind of easing it in of like, okay, maybe we transition to actually getting kind of appropriately aged mobsters. So perhaps we just get like what we do have at our disposal, which makes sense. Alberto Falcone, young mobster, we can get him in there.
It makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
So, but
Every
yeah, you're
part
right.
of the Buffalo.
Yep, every part of the Buffalo.
I
Yeah,
don't
you
even
know.
know if that statement's accurate in this
No,
situation.
not really at all. But we're just gonna. Anyway, so
Sorry.
let's see. So again, so overall, this is the mob check-in. A little kind of like along with the kind of the setup that we just kind of went through about kind of the Dark Knight post Joker and Harvey Dent essentially wiping out the mob, which brings us to the next generation of mobster and the clinging mob remnants that we are going to have with again our long Halloween player, Alberto Falcone. And let's just say this episode, big thing at the end, I'm sure you noticed, we're setting up someone very special gunning for the mob, which we had set up in the staff verification news crawl that someone got killed and the mob and who was affiliated with mobsters, and I'm sure somebody is not happy about that.
Sure.
And this does fit the copycat Batman angle that we did start the Dark Knight off with. This is a really kind of cool way of working.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
So again, we kind of found a way to kind of homage one of the best Batman things ever, and kind of work it into like, hey, we have a bit of a window to introduce this sort of thing, and people having misnomers about the Batman. Okay, let's break it down. So, big thing as well is to kind of start things off with. Again, this is the first full on. Like from start to finish, first cinematic episode. So we had no found footage at all during this.
Yeah. You're right. And what is a nice kind of like transition from that is that this oddly enough, it feels like kind of like it's got that Memento grain to it. I don't even know if that was intentional, but it feels like one of Nolan's earlier projects, just as far as like the texture of it goes. Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't know how much of it's intentional, but it does. I see what you're talking about though. Yeah, I can feel it. I think it's a good.
What I'm saying is that it kind of like it still kind of like eases you in. It kind of like still has like a bit of a footagey vibe to it.
Yeah. So let's see. So again, we have some great HD shots of like the iceberg lounges, like we kind of rack and focus, and we have like a great musical transition to like the bumping nightclub scenes. Of course, the nightclub, we have kind of the nightclub vibe with the iceberg lounge, and this is kind of reminiscent of two things. Reminiscent of the brief nightclub scene that we had in The Dark Knight when he found Sal Maroni, and a little bit of like a little nod of Batman Beyond, which it was all about the rave scene and kind of the nightclubs of the future. Course. The bouncing lights and everything. The idea being Batman Beyond was really ahead of its time with like how big the nightclub scene would eventually be with kind of rave clubs in the kind of circa the 90s. So it's kind of funny in early 2000s. So again. So we're introducing a little style into our new format with the cinematic tone for sure. We have Alberto at the bar with drinks and everything. He's getting birthday wishes, like little birthday shrug. Hey, Alberto! He's they're kind of touching the shoulder.
But he's not really feeling it.
No, he's not. No, again, Alberto's always kind of the outsider of his family. So this is more like, Alberto, you're going to celebrate your birthday, and everyone's going to know you were there, honey.
Right. Oh God, you know what that kind of reminds me of?
What?
Logan Roy. I don't know why. I can just imagine it. Like, God damn it, Kendall, you're going to go to your birthday party, and you're going to like it.
Well, there's a bit of a Kendall Roy vibe to kind of like to kind of Alberto here.
A little bit. Yeah, I can see that.
Anyway, yeah, we have kind of like a nice, energized, kind of colorful vibe here with that's going on in terms of our setting here. Again, very well cast Alberto. He resembles him from the comic identically, pretty much. It's against a Nolanized version of this character, just with less big ears. But it's yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying like realistically proportioned versus the Tim Sale art, but seriously though, R.I.P. Tim Sale. But we're talking about Long Halloween, of course. Tim Sale, huge element of that story. So unfortunately, he has passed this year, so I guess we should probably acknowledge that when we're talking Long Halloween stuff adjacent. So moving forward. Anyway, so again, we have kind of like the rave stuff, the music from Batman Beyond. I mean, the music feels very indicative, like pulled from Batman Beyond. Regardless, Alberto, let's see. So he ditches his own birthday party, and the goon on the phone, I believe, who almost, if not had his fingers broken, is like, sir, your guests have ordered their drinks. Who's gonna pay for them? Put it on the Penguins tab. He doesn't like to be called that, sir. I
I
know.
know. He's almost
Oh,
kind of got like a Schwartzman vibe a little bit, like in that cockiness.
you mean like Jason Schwartzman?
Yes, Jason Schwartzman. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. No, I see it. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. But
I
he's a
know.
he's a cocky little college puke, isn't he? To quote Patton
He's
Oswalt,
got
"You
a
coward."
terrible idea that the driver is not fond of, but he wants to go anyways. He wants to go into his garage and go on a joyride. Yeah, Dragon. Doesn't that sound smart? Doesn't that just sound like a great, like a well advised decision?
Well, I'll tell you what's funny. It's like a moonlit drive, which I don't know if that's just code for what he's doing because of the moon element of it all or not. But regardless, yeah, it's not. I like that this guy's smart enough to know. Hey, the good things don't happen in garages. Let's not hang out here. Did you see
Right,
the
right,
opening?
right.
Did you
Yeah,
see the opening of the Dark Knight? That was a parking garage, man. Didn't end
exactly,
well for any of
exactly.
those
Yeah,
mobsters. Didn't end well for any of them. Anyway, like Batman's just gonna fall on vans and everything. It's gonna be crazy.
and then the dude just basically says like the ultimate like 1%er line that just
Mm-hmm.
proves that you're a douchebag.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't pay you to think.
exactly. So I think the way they achieved this shot is they're probably just driving around like some nice residential neighborhoods and kind of like just basically making a U-turn. Like, here we go, arriving at the big mansion, and there we go, leaving. And then basically they pull into a parking garage, implying, I think, that Alberto's going home and he's hanging out in the garage, coking up.
Oh,
At least I think that's the impression. So driver exits the car, and Alberto, the ultimate symbol of capitalism in the 1%. He rolls up probably $100 bill
yep,
to
yep.
to snort the snort his implied cocaine, and
Batman's
goon
just
from
like, you should have used a one.
yeah, children might touch those bills.
Oh my god.
No, seriously. So from the outside, we have this
A
shadowed
one could
figure.
at least be disposed of.
All right. So we have a very familiar scene: mobsters, kind of a
Uh-huh.
stealthy or intimidating kind of like takedown. Black figure
And once
swoops in,
again, the directing and the cinematography and the music and everything, all very on point, all very much emulating Nolan in a really, really good stylized way.
and I
I'm
love how
impressed.
we use the Hans Zimmer theme to kind of lull you into the false impression the mobsters are having right now. Like, oh god, it's Batman.
Right, right, right.
So a very snotty Alberto, he's told to, the goon tells him to stay in the car, but he doesn't really want to, and it's kind of, I gotta admit, the scene kind of mirrors Iron Man a little bit. The whole like, stay in here, and bad stuff happens. Anyway, so the point being, as the guy tells him, Mr. Falcone, you should stay in here, and the arms crash through the glass and basically drag him out. Really awesome, really intimidating. I love it. It was probably really hard to shoot, I got to admit, because they had to break probably some breakaway glass or something. Either that or an old car. I don't know how they did it. But the point being, guy is sucked out through the window. Familiar mob scene guy kind of comes out of the car. He has a gun drawn. He's looking, he's trying to tough talk. Like initially, any ordinary mobster in the Falcone regime would be like, like, hey, who are you? Where are you? And then it would not end
Mhm.
well for him. But I love that Alberto is snotty enough to think he can negotiate with Batman here. He's cocky
Yeah,
enough to
he's
think,
basically
hey,
just like, all right, let's do this.
you don't. Hey, honestly, I don't have all night. I don't think you do either. let's talk. You know, like
Yeah. Oh God. Just the cockiness, Dragon. If he's lucky that I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to this guy. I don't know. He could very well be doomed for all I know. But I'm just saying, he's lucky Batman wasn't there just on the basis of Batman would have just given this guy such an ass whooping for that alone, man.
well, Tiki, I'm pretty sure. I think his fate's rather definite at the end of this. I'll say
No,
that
you're
much.
not wrong. Yeah, yeah,
But I'm
but
saying I think he would kind of wish Batman was actually here. So he says he kind of calls Batman out on his stuff, and
what
Batman
if
begins like,
Batman's just like, you know what? Have him.
I don't
And
think
then
it's quite the
Joker is just
same.
like, are you sure, Batman? Like, yeah, this guy's not worth it.
No, this isn't Harley Quinn season 3. No. No. But we have this thing where he just calls out the whole: "You take my friends, you break my legs," in reference to Sal Maroni. You scare the crap out of me. But look, I'm not like the rest of my family. Which, of course, Alberto's always been on the outside of the Falcon. He would make this move, which I absolutely belie. I'm an open book. I'll tell you. Screw my family. Yeah, he drops the gun, which mistake. Ultimately, wouldn't have saved him either way, but it was a mistake.
uh-huh.
So I'll tell you, tell me, I'll tell you what you want to know. And of course, as he says this, Tiki, the girlish shrieks I emitted when this happened. Because, like an idiot, I didn't put two and two together with the title. Because never in a million years did I think, oh, there's no way we're gonna do this. Nah, it's like
Well,
it
as
would
soon
be
as I
too.
saw the fog, I didn't know for sure, but I certainly had my suspicions.
Well, I'm saying with the title Phantom Pains, he's like when I saw Phantom Pains, like never in a million years will they do it as cool. I see Phantom, I'm thinking of one thing. It was like that'd be great, but or are they going to do that in a Nolan thing? When I don't know. But so they're doing this, and it was the smoke happens. Like it's gotta be. So
Eh,
I get so excited, and they have like the smoke recaptured perfectly of the effect that we've seen in a parking garage. If you remember the top of this movie, opened it with a mobster in a parking garage facing this figure. He had Alberto's like, oh, you're gonna try and smoke me out, and he finds dead mobsters. And then we have these really creepy, like in a horror movie, like slices, like cuts to like these slices across Alberto in the smoke, like slice, and each cut more and more effective, like one slice and then another slice, which now he's scared and then he's on the ground losing his glasses on the third slice, bleeding out, looking up. He's kind of dazed, and from his blurry perspective in the smoke and everything, he sees this shadowy figure we don't get a good look at. But then we hear the lines, Tiki. We hear the big lines. Alberto Falcone, are you ready to pay for the sins of your family? Then we have the biggie. Your
uh,
angel of death awaits. So it goes. I think it stands to reason that's the phantasm. What do you say, Tiki?
I mean, I obviously like you are more in line with Phantasm than I am, but yes, I believe that is the Phantasm.
Yeah, I tell you, I was because again they'd set up the whole like the Carl Beaumont was killed by
I mean, it
mobsters.
is
So
very cool, Dragon, as far as as far as kind of like bringing the best live action Batman and then arguably the best Batman related media ever together. Like that is a good choice. That is a
it
good move.
was. I was so excited and so happy with it. And let's just say we might pick up this thread again. I'll say that much. I'll tease that much.
All right.
But yeah, so we have this is a really cool Nolanized update too, where instead of the scythe mounted on the hand, has a machete. It's kind of a Nolanized version of like what do you have like a whole comic booky kind of weapon, like maybe not, but I have like a machete though, and basically almost like Jason Voorhees, he's like slices hacking the heck out
I
of.
mean, it makes sense. Yeah. It's
So
not
yeah,
quite what's in the animated series, but like with it being Nolan, it would be.
yeah. So I like that. I like kind of the practical, realizing everything. Comic movies were always like making things practical, but again, it fit the style for a change with the Nolan verse. Instead of like we have a budget.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, so regardless, there's a really great reveal. Like the mobster thinks it's Batman. It turns out it isn't. Something more lethal. And again, kind of in the Batman garb. We didn't see it, but you know it and you feel it, and it was great. And that's the episode.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this was a good kind of, little stepping stone. I'm still not quite sure what to expect as far as the overall narrative for this season and the 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 investigate. I'm sorry, what is it called? Further investigation.
Further evidence.
Further evidence. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm still kind of feeling it out, but I am liking the focus on the different characters and everything. Not quite sure if we're going to get as rock solid of a tight narrative payoff as there was in season one, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm geeking out over the phantasm stuff of this one. I think honestly, this is a really good world building episode that we can take advantage of with further evidence, and I think that's kind of the benefit of further evidence. We get to kind of flesh out the world that will then be basically maybe be dipped into and explored and weaved into a greater story after we exit further evidence. I'll say that much. But yeah, I always got a kick out of this, and especially kind of the Philip Seymour Hoffman Penguin of it all. I thought that was always like a really good. A really good choice, and again, I think paid off ultimately for what it was.
Uh-huh.
Well, Tiki, let's take us out.
All right. Hold on one second. When I'm memento. I am not doing good here. Oh my god.
I believe we have about 3 episodes left of further evidence, if memory serves. I believe 3, yeah. After that, the fun begins.
Got it. Okay. Okay, well, our time's up, and it's time to reseal the further evidence until our next session when we attempt to answer the question: is there a method to the madness? With the Joker Blogs case study.
Squawk like an effing bird.